Good morning. Welcome to First Church Boston. I am Barbara Martin, Chair of the Standing Committee, which is our elected leadership team here at First Church. And I am delighted to welcome those of you who brave the iffy, who knows where the storm is going weather, to be with us in person. And I am equally delighted and grateful to know of our broadcast via YouTube, and to know that many members of the congregation will not be prevented by the weather from hearing our service this morning. That really is a dimension that we welcome every Sunday and particularly aware of today. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors who are with us this morning. Please stay afterward for coffee hour, which will be in full swing. And if you would like to learn more about Unitarian Universalism or about First Church in particular, speak to me or Reverend May or almost any member who's here. I have a few announcements, and in particular, I wanted to reinforce the announcement of Winter Wednesdays, an experiment we're trying with a new time and format in a familiar space with a new name. This is a program that will happen at different times on Wednesdays, but it just kicked off. A few of you were here this week, and it will go dark this coming week. Reverend May is away, but on January 17th at 4:30, there will be Sipping with the Wine Committee, and an opportunity to stay and join Sanctuary Boston for the service that follows, if you like. Then on January 24th, shifting back into the evening, an opportunity for those who knit or crochet or craft in some other way to come together and share that, or to come and watch and be awed by those who can. And then in the last week of January, there will be a guitar jam. So as you can see, there's a wide variety of activities and opportunity to come together, and also an opportunity to be there online. These are all hybrid events. So it's an experiment with activities, with new names, with a new recognition of Emerson and the kinds of exploration and engagement that he might preside over. So I hope all of you will try that out. I believe that brings us to the end of our announcements, so let our service begin.
We live in a changing world. Adapting to change is part of what we must do as humans and part of who we are as Unitarian Universalists. Today and throughout the month, we will explore the value of transformation, and if you haven't been up into the Emerson Lounge yet, there's a community conversations board where you'll find the monthly theme sheet and an opportunity to engage with that theme by putting your own thoughts about it up there. Our opening words today are from the Reverend Ma Teresa Tet Gallardo, President of the UU Church of the Philippines. Following each line, Reverend Hank and I read, please respond with the refrain printed in your order of service. When I change, the world changes. We are here to derive meaning in our actions.
When I
change, the world changes.
We are here to win our power back over our areas of powerlessness.
We are change, the world changes. We are here to deepen our understanding of ourselves in order to strengthen self-discipline.
When I change, the world changes. We are here to abolish prejudice with an appreciation for our diversity and differences.
When I change, the world changes. We are here to feel our personal power and our capacity to affect the lives of other people.
When I change, the world changes. We are here to become teachers to each other.
When I change, the world changes. We are here to spend time away from the usual influences and relearn reality. When I change, the world changes.
When God gives me the desire, I am also given the power and the means to achieve my goals.
When I change, the world changes. I am here to see that my singular life is a gateway to countless possibilities. When I change, the world changes. Please rise in body or in spirit as we say together our First Church Boston affirmation. And boy, I get a helper today. Hank lights the chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before you jump to greeting everybody, I just want to say we are in January, and as you know, I had COVID in December. I'm sensitive that people might be in a different place of comfort, so maybe a little more nodding and greeting, a little less shaking hands, just in respect for we're in that season. So now you may greet one another and wave to the camera to say hi to those online. So you can remain standing as we prepare to sing. Knowing that we might be a little light in attendance with the weather, we chose two very familiar hymns today, but also Amazing Grace is probably the most familiar Christian hymn, but it's also a story of conversion and transformation, both the lyrics in the hymn, but also the writer of the hymn himself was an enslaver who in time changed and became an abolitionist. And so let us sing mindful of the testimony of this song to change.
be seated. So good morning and Happy New Year. And once again, I'm Reverend Hank Purse, and I get to share a story with you this morning. The story this morning comes from Japan, and it's a story of a stone carver. Actually, he's more of a hewer in the mountains. He's not doing the fine work in the buildings. He's cutting the stone in the quarries of a big mountain. And he was not happy with his lot. And one day, while walking through his town, he saw through an open gate the house of a merchant. And he looked in there and he saw servants, and he saw how well they treated the merchant, how much money he had, the lovely food he had, and he thought to himself, I wish I was that merchant. And poof, he became that merchant. And all of a sudden, he didn't have to get up and have his body ache from swinging a hammer all day. He got to go around and he thought, this is the life, how powerful I am. That was until the day he was in the town and a local politician came through. And as was the tradition at that time and in that country, when the politician came, they were being carried in a little bear. Thank you. On the shoulders, and he thought, and everyone had to stop and bow down as this politician passed by, and he thought, what power that person has. I wish I was that person. And poof, he was. And then for days and weeks, people were listening to him and had to pay attention to him and had to bow down when he went down the street. And then one day it was hot and stuffy, and he thought to himself, I wish I could change this. Why is it so hot and stuffy? And he looked up and he saw the sun, and he thought, now that is real power. And poof, he became the sun. And he shone his sunlight all over the earth, and it was great. And he thought, this is real power. My sunlight goes everywhere except where those clouds are. And so he wished to be a cloud. And he rained on people and shot bolts of lightning at them. He thought, this is great. But he then realized he could not stay in one place for long because the wind blew him on. And he thought, the real power is in the wind. And he became the wind, and he blew branches, and he moved oceans. That was until he came against something he could not move. It was a mountain. And as the wind swirled around the mountain, he heard the sound of the one thing that was acting on that mountain, the sound of hammers, of some stone carvers up there. At the heart of change is dissatisfaction of what is. This story is certainly one that also shows that all power is relative. But perhaps most importantly, change can be an exercise in discovering our authentic selves. Exploration can be a powerful tool to chip away at all those things that are unimportant in our lives. I'm going to close with some words from T.S. Eliot, who wrote, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." Thank you so much. Now, our wonderful choir.
Alice Parker was a great woman. She believed in unity. She was a great woman.
a great talent, a great humanitarian, and carried this unity and belief in social justice and racial justice throughout her career in her music. And she transitioned Christmas Eve, this past Christmas Eve. So this Harps Eternal is in memory of a great musician, a great arranger, composer, and a great human being, Alice Parker. This is for her today.
I think you did her proud. Amidst the blowing wind and the snowy storm swirling around us, I invite you into a moment of meditation. Please sit comfortably, lower your gaze or close your eyes, and take a deep breath in, counting to 4, holding for 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. Now returning to your regular breath. Mindful of our breath, we acknowledge how so much of our living resides beyond our control. The regular beating of our heart, the breath we draw unconsciously. For this magnificent gift of our bodies, which steadily continues year after year, May we be grateful. Taking a moment now to mentally scan our bodies, head to toe. We notice the aches, the scars, the reminders of life's struggles, accidents, and losses. Changes we might not have chosen, but which we have had to accept as part of us, our experience. For the resilience we have found within and the support we have received from others to heal or perhaps simply to endure, may we be grateful. Breathing in and out again and again. May we be mindful of all that remains steady, even amidst the ever-changing world. Grateful for the connections of people or places or faith that sustains us through the journey of life. Resting now in a moment of stillness, may we feel grounded amidst the storm. In the order of service, it says, now is the time for the offertory, which also means the offering. But I also, in my head, think of it, this is the moment of gratitude. The reason we give and go through the ritual of giving is there's a practical impact of the money that's received. But it's also always a moment that reminds us that what we have here together is because of the gifts that are sustained, that people that are currently part of the congregation give, as well as those who in generations before us have given and left for our use. So give what you can in this practice of sustaining our shared community. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds like me. Thank you. The reading is from Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you're having trouble changing your habits, the problem isn't you. The problem is your system. Bad habits repeat themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Focusing on the overall system rather than a single goal is one of the core themes of this book. It is also one of the deeper meanings behind the word atomic. By now, you've probably realized, editorial note, he means assuming you've been reading the book up to now. By now, you've probably realized that an atomic habit refers to a tiny change, a marginal gain, a 1% improvement. But atomic habits are not just any old habits, however small. They are little habits that are part of a larger system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. Habits are like the atoms of our lives. Each one is a fundamental unit that contributes to your overall improvement. At first, these tiny routines seem insignificant, but soon they build on each other and fuel bigger wins that multiply to a degree that far outweighs the cost of their initial investment. They are both small and mighty. This is the meaning of the phrase atomic habits, a regular practice or routine that is not only small and easy to do, but also the source of incredible power, a component of the system of compound growth.
Thanks, Peter. So change is, okay, this is new. It's sort of in my way. We're going to get rid of it, okay? Okay, that's better. So change is a part of life, and yet it is not necessarily a simple or easy part of life. The human need to adapt to the reality of change, of trying to change, of responding to uninvited change is all around us in popular culture. Consider Bob Dylan's, I was going to sing these, I don't know if I can. The times they are a-changing. Anyone help? No. Bob Dylan, times are a-changing. Or David Bowie's changes, right? And there is also Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror with its powerful lyric, and I will not rap this. If you want to make the world a better place, then take a look at yourself and make a change. About 1/3 of you as adults plan to do just that, make a change, by making New Year's resolutions or setting a goal for 2024. Notably, the percentage of adults making such resolutions declines with age. Perhaps those with more years feel they've already achieved their goals, or perhaps they shy away from such goals after realizing how hard it can be to effect change. How about you? Did you make a New Year's resolution? Eat healthier, drink less, exercise more, meditate, come to church every week? Over the years, I too have made my share of resolutions, and like many others, I have stalled on resolutions after a month or two. The average is actually just under 4 months. So why is change so hard? At its core, we are animals, evolved to survive, driven by our needs for hunger, thirst, and reproduction. We also have a core desire to conserve energy. Our brains may be big, but they can only do so much. To help us manage the complexity of our lives, we develop habits that simplify our interactions with our environment. Changing those habits, even the ones that may not be serving us so well, often requires more energy than just sticking with the patterns we already know. At least this is what I tell myself when I make the familiar path to the freezer for my ice cream every evening. Attending to the choices we make in our daily living has long been a preoccupation of religious life. For example, our ancestral Puritans paid very close attention to living pious lives. Indeed, their focus on trying to live by what they believe to be right is why today being puritanical has a negative connotation for rigidly seeking perfection. Admittedly, the Puritans' close attention to how others lived their life also contributes to that negative reputation as well. While seeking rigid perfection of behavior is certainly soul-stifling, I believe that being mindful of how our choices impact the people we become and the societies we build nonetheless has merit. In his book, Atomic Habits, author James Clear distills what he has learned from science and wisdom literature about making good habits and breaking bad ones. As you heard in the reading, the idea of atomic habits refers to tiny changes whose relationship to larger system fuels bigger changes. As an example, Clear points to the impact of shifting the trajectory of an airplane by just a few degrees. He writes, "Imagine you are flying a plane from Los Angeles to New York City. If a pilot leaving the LAX airport adjusts the heading just 3.5 degrees south, you will land in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. Such a small change is barely noticeable at takeoff. The nose of the airplane moves just a few feet. But when magnified across the entire United States, you end up hundreds of miles apart." Small changes can reorient the larger trajectory. Mindful of how hard mustering the energy to change can be, Clear also suggests making new habits attractive and easy. For example, build them into patterns you already follow. You brush your teeth every morning, you want to start doing something else, you do it right before you brush your teeth. Or you sign up for a gym that is already on your way to work. Also, start small. Don't jump straight to visions of 100 push-ups. Start with one. Start with what is manageable and doable, then build. Small changes over time change the trajectory. It's not that I don't believe Clear. He not only has a lot of science he draws on, but also pulls from centuries-old wisdom literature. Many ancient religious and philosophical traditions teach about paths for spiritual growth, regular devotional practices, and patience in making small daily steps that create character over time, like the Puritans taught. Yes, I understand there are all kinds of reasons and support for the small, steady, and slow approach to change. It's just that I prefer a faster, easier, done in a flash kind of transformation. Don't you? I love a good transformation story, like we heard from Hank earlier. And based on the success of home remodeling TV shows, I know I am not alone in this. Compared to the satisfaction of witnessing a total overhaul in a 45-minute episode of Fixer Upper with Chip and Joanna Gaines, the daily process of sticking to a new habit of diet, exercise, or other chosen action feels far less exciting. And yet this slow pace is often the story of real life, isn't it? Our lives unfold in the small moments, the atom-sized choices we make in a given day. But these small choices do make a difference because, like atoms, they impact larger systems. In a parable about organizational change entitled "Our Iceberg is Melting," a curious penguin named Fred watched the ice day after day. Over time, his observations led him to conclude the iceberg was melting and in danger of collapse. The rest of the book is about the process of adaptive change. Fred begins by convincing just one other person of the urgency. Then that respected person brings the concern to a group of leaders. Next, a process of communicating to the whole colony emerges as plans for exploring responses to the crisis are developed. In time, the colony, which had ever only known that one iceberg as their home, adapted to the new environment by becoming nomadic. With the melting ice, change was coming to the colony one way or the other. By working collaboratively, they were able to choose a path of transformation that best served the needs of the colony within the parameters of their context. When I first started talking to the Ministerial Search Committee about First Church a year ago, last January, I was both deeply interested and more than a little scared. As the materials made clear, here is a congregation with a remarkable history. And, as the congregational record stated, quote, "A proud sense of stewardship honors traditions of shared commitment and participation, but can sometimes prove a barrier to change, whether in organizational structure or openness to new historical narratives," end quote. I am still very much seeking to listen and learn, but what I think this statement points to is the tension between being good stewards of what was, while also being adaptive to the environment that now is. I confess that I am still somewhat baffled about how to manage this tension. On the one hand, like many of you, I am enthralled by the depth of history surrounding First Church and Second Church and the other 5 congregations whose histories are embedded in our narrative. This history is part of the identity of this congregation, of this organizational system. On the other hand, I am keenly aware of the very real needs of this moment. Here today, in person and online, I know some of you are holding fresh grief, or grief that may not be new, but whose fierce grip remains on your life. I know some of you are facing your own health challenges and or are helping to care for loved ones who are struggling and who may never recover. I know also that many of us are aware that the membership of the congregation is aging, that there are too few younger adults or children as part of the church. And I know many of you understand that we are not alone in the demographic situation of younger generations increasingly not always looking to organize religion for community or meaning. We are also a city church, where I have quickly learned that the sextons look over the grounds regularly in search of needles. And sometimes bedrolls are found stashed in corners from nightly visitors seeking a sheltered place to sleep outside on our campus. We are also an American church and a divided nation whose commitment to immigrants, women, LGBTQ folks, and democracy itself is contested. And we are part of a global context where wars, supply chains, and climate change impact us all. Here, in this moment, we are facing significant challenges as individuals, as a congregation, a city, a nation, a planet. In this moment, I believe we need a religious community that can be responsive to the need for spiritual sustenance and ethical grounding amidst these challenges. To me, these current needs are what call congregations to change and adapt so they can be relevant to the moment. When we continue to effectively do this spiritual work that the congregation has done for centuries, then we are good stewards of our inheritance. Today, we are making choices as individuals and as a group that will impact the future trajectory of our lives and of our church. The habits we make or those we break will impact both individual experiences as well as the organizational system of the church. What choices do you think should be made? What habits do you consider keeping or changing? Over the last week, I introduced a small change to First Church by adding some pillows and side tables to the upper narthex seating area. And with Pam's help, we have new signage and bulletin boards. After recently discovering that in 1972, in the very first service held in this building, I found the program, and the program referred to coffee hour being held in the lounge. I thought, that must be there. And I thought, how much fun would it be to experiment with calling it the lounge and call it the Emerson Lounge over the bust of Emerson who greets you as you enter the space. I don't know what impact this small change will have on First Church in the next 5, 10, 25 years. But for this moment, it feels like a small step towards nurturing community connections that are necessary for the vitality of a congregation. And doing so with a nod to our history acknowledges that this moment emerges out of the past. I don't know what 2024 will bring for you individually, for us as a congregation, or for us as a nation in a deeply difficult election year. I don't know if or when 2024 may bring peace in Ukraine or Gaza, nor do any of us know what intense weather may damage or disrupt lives and livelihoods across the globe as climate change continues to wreak havoc. What I do know, or at least believe with deep conviction, is that we will fare better responding to whatever comes if we face it in a community with others. Change is a part of life. My hope is that we might be like the fabled penguins, working collectively and respectfully with others as we adapt to our context. The future begins now with the small choices we make and the habits we keep or break. May it be so. Amen. Our closing hymn is 114, Forward Through the Ages. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing yet another classic hymn that speaks to this sense of change and transformation through generations.
Forward
words are in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of flame truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amidst the changing world of brokenness and beauty, may we hold fast to our faith in the flourishing of life, the abundance of love, and an ever more inclusive we. Amen.